Hi, Charlie.
Hey Mary, how's it
Hey,
going?
I'm good. I am so excited to have you on this. This is just like super exciting for me. I look like hell right now and it's all good, but that's the whole point of all this is just to just have a good conversation between my thing is real moms talking real life things, but you're a dad and I'm so excited for that perspective to be coming on.
Yeah, thanks. I actually showered. It's been like 3 days, so this gave me a, this gave me an
I'm so
excuse to shower.
Hey, I'm sure we can all relate to that. That's the biggest thing. That's me too. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second. I want you to introduce yourself to everyone that's listening and just kind of, say who you are, what you do, tell us about your family, everything, and we'll go from there.
All right, my name's Charlie. Stay-at-home dad now, but I used to be a chef. Then worked myself up to become a corporate chef. So I was a corporate chef at a company where I used to develop ideas for like fast food chains, so like McDonald's, Taco Bell, and all that stuff. Then I switched jobs, became a corporate chef at for the airlines. So whatever food you see at the airlines, that was me coming up with those ideas,
Okay.
helping out with that. And then after that, I went into sales, and after that, we had a baby. So
Yeah.
um, me and my wife, we've been together for 10 years. She says 11, but we started dating. We dated for 5 years and we've been married for 5 years. So it's a total of 10. She's counting the year that we talked.
Yeah. I love
So
it.
yeah, so to her it's 11, to me it's 10, but hey, we're still here. And yeah, we have a 1 year old. Her name is Rosalia. We call her Rosie. She was born in September. So what is that, 12, 16 months?
Okay.
16 months old, or she's gonna be 16 and on the 15th. And we have another girl coming in April of this year.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's exciting. Congrats.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
love that. Well, and then you're on Instagram and your
Mhm.
handle is the stay at
The
home dad
Yeah,
life.
so it's the Sadie life, so the stay at home daddy life.
Yeah. See, and I love that. And I mean, that's how we got connected per se. And I always take a look on Instagram whenever I see like anyone following me or engaging on my stuff. I always look. And I remember when I saw yours, I immediately had to take a peek and I was like, I love it. Cause it, it is a perspective. And when I announced on like even stories tonight, like when I had shared that you were going to be on, like the amount of response that came back was like, I'm so excited for this because it is a different perspective. I cover a mom aspect. Like I cover the stay-at-home mom life. I cover that side, but stay-at-home dads are a real thing too. It's becoming more prevalent and I think it's a very underrepresented thing. It's a very under discussed thing. I don't know what word I would replace that with. But I also think it's a very taboo thing. Like it's just there's stay-at-home moms get their own shit. Moms get their own shit, but dads and stay-at-home dads especially, I think, get their own slew of shit that they are just dealt. And I think that's like a very cool aspect to be touching on.
Yeah, it's you get the positives and the negatives, and I've had both already, which yeah, it's pretty cool, but you learn to deal with it, learn to just keep moving forward, and you just gotta realize that you're doing this for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for us, um, it just made sense for me to stay home. My wife's an engineer. She went to Iowa State. Good career she has, and it was one of those things where, yeah, if I wanted to, like, I'll figure it out, and she can stay home. But it just made sense for her to stay home, and I'm like, hey, I'm willing to take the challenge. Like,
Yeah, well, and
I,
but that's a big thing too. I think that's what the big thing with stay-at-home parents too is it's a financial aspect. That's the same thing with us. Like I it's sad because I think a lot of the idea behind like stay-at-home parents, a lot of people view stay-at-home parents as either they're uneducated or that they didn't have a career to go back to. And it's not true. Like majority of us had a career. Just when you look at a financial aspect of growing a family and what you want your family to be, like for me, us personally, like it made more sense for me to stay home. like I wasn't going to make enough to ever equate for it to make sense with daycare, childcare. So it just made sense for me to stay home. Um, and we still have to budget. It's not like we're saving anything, but it's balancing out. At this point, it's definitely balancing out. We're in New Jersey. I don't, what state are you in?
We're in Illinois, so Chicago area.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's grocery shopping. It's a luxury nowadays.
yeah. And my
It's
family's all in Chicago. What area in Chicago?
I'm in the west suburbs, so Lombard or Oak
Okay.
Brook.
Okay. I have family all over the place. I have family in Naperville,
Oh, okay, yeah.
um,
It's 15 minutes from
Naperville,
here.
uh, Glen, the
Glendale,
Glen something, Northbrook, Glen something. It's like right by Glenview.
yeah, Glenview.
Like Evanston, Wilmette, like
Yeah, yeah,
all in that area.
all over.
Yeah. Yeah. So I literally like I went to school in Purdue at Purdue University.
Oh, okay, yeah.
'Cause I grew up I essentially like my second home was the Midwest. Like
Mhm.
I I just always grew up going out there, so it was easy for me to get out there. But yeah, no, I mean it's the same thing. I think the expense cost of living out there is very equal to out here. It's just it's expensive. It's expensive for childcare and everything. And it makes more sense to do that. But when you became a stay-at-home dad, so tell me about the shit. Like what shit have you come across in like terms of
Oh,
yeah.
I would say, well, literally shit
Yeah, you come across
from my
shit.
daughter.
Yeah.
uh, no, it's just I know when. So I was the type of guy that I didn't want to be a dad in the beginning. That's why we waited so long. And like at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I just I guess my perspective changed once I saw like once I started hanging out with a different circle, positive people, people that actually cared and all that stuff. And I saw that it's like, wait, I can actually raise a good family because now I have good examples.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that my parents did a bad job or all that stuff, but like in today's world, that's all you see nowadays, like a bunch of negativity or why do you want to bring kids into this world or stuff like that. So that was kind of my mindset,
Yeah.
plus the party life too back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um but yeah, but after that mindset switched, I'm like, all right, cool. Like I want to be a dad. And then when me and my wife talked about it and we we discussed the possibility of maybe me being the stay-at-home dad, I'm like, yeah, like let's do it. I was so excited. And what is it, like 6 weeks? Once the
Yeah.
baby's born, like 6 weeks, wifey's still here. But then once it was my time to shine,
Yeah.
once she left, that's when it really hit me like, oh, I'm raising another human.
Yeah.
Like this little person, this little
Yeah.
baby depends on me a lot. Um, and I gotta be that a great example. I gotta stay positive. I gotta do this and this. And so as I'm continuing my journey, just learning like everything's new. So I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, so what's right, what's wrong? Because whenever we're gonna become parents, I think everyone has the mindset of I'm not gonna do what my parents used to do back in the day. Like to
Yeah.
me, I'm gonna raise them different. No screen time. No, if I'm gonna make sure they eat all their food. They're not. They can like all the silly things.
Yeah.
But once you have your baby, it hits you and you're like, oh, this is hard. No wonder my mom did that. No
Yeah.
wonder this and this happened.
Yeah.
And I think one of the what helped me was actually finding other moms on Instagram, like to follow.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this is that like I don't think I'm following like professionals. I'm following like real moms, and that's how I found you. Like
Yeah.
you're a great example of that. Like I also follow like Jenna from The Snuggle is
Yep.
Real,
Yep. Yep.
Rachel and the Crew,
Yep.
Becca Everyday Bag, Jamie Real Life Mama, Lindsay Every Hearts, and I think the cool thing about that is that you moms have built a community to where someone that is struggling or feels that they're being judged or aren't doing the right thing, you can just go into one of your profiles and just be like, oh, they're normal.
Yeah.
They're not faking this shit. Like they're
Yeah.
normal, regular moms.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what all of us want. But I think that what's so interesting hearing you talk about that though is like, and that's why I was so excited to have you on. Like it's literally was so exciting for me to have you on because it is such you're listing out a bunch of stay-at-home moms. Like I think at the end of the day, what's like cool about this is because when you're in it, like especially from a woman aspect, because of a stay-at-home mom aspect, a stay-at-home mom has always been the norm. So when you're a stay-at-home mom, a lot of it when you're dealing with the crap that comes with being a stay-at-home mom and the isolation and the people accusing you of being lazy and things like that, like it kind of boils into like a sexism type of thing for us where we're like, okay, well, it's because I'm a woman. But at the end of the day, but when I'm talking to you, I'm like, but I I think yeah, part of it could be that, but I also think it's just a role. Like it's just a role. It is the role itself of being a stay-at-home parent, regardless that we need to get away from like mom, dad, like type of thing. If you're a stay-at-home parent, we're dealing with very similar shit. Like, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to get across. And I love that aspect because it does get very polarizing because you forget about it sometimes. You get
Uh-huh.
stuck in this mindset of being like, well, I'm the mom, like it's just what I do. Well, like maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's just the role itself. The moment you take on this role, that's what happens. Um,
Yeah, and to be honest, it's one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. Like I said, I used to be a chef, so in order to like get that title, I had to like work my ass off.
yeah,
So you're talking like always on my feet, always the late hours, 16 to 20-hour shifts, coming the next day hungover, but you're you're grinding
yeah,
it out again. And
yeah,
I would say there's times where I'd rather go back to work. There's just those days, and I know a bunch of moms have them or stay-at-home parents have it too,
yeah,
where it's like, you know what, I think it'll be easier to like go get a job.
yeah,
And you were saying earlier about like the sexism, like, oh, it's stay-at-home moms, like they uneducated or they're lazy. Like, no, it's a job. Like you think I wish I could just sit on my ass and make videos or scroll through Instagram or watch movies or
yeah.
like I don't even know when's the last time I saw a movie. Like I
Well,
don't
exactly. Well,
have time.
that's the thing. It's like it's just, and that's the thing. It's like the big argument that I've gotten whenever I talk about like this as a job is some people come at me, and a lot of the time it's actually women who will come at me and be like, "This isn't a job. Like this is something. Parenting is not a job. Parenting is like." Forget the wording that they always come at me with is like this is something that you I don't even know, but they say it's not a job. Parenting is different than a job. And I'm like, but it is a job. Like
It is.
that's the thing. It's like I view this as a job for myself. Is like that's the way I've been able to kind of face this because as you know, being a stay-at-home parent comes with its slew of hardships of like you're on your own. Like you're on your own and you're dealing with all this stuff and you're getting criticism from all ends, let alone yourself. Um, but for me, it's like I show up and I treat this like a job, especially because you are home. Like I think that's the biggest thing is like because you are home, it becomes Groundhog's Day. So for me to like be like, I wake up every single day. I have a schedule like where I'm like, okay, set my alarm, and I do the same exact thing, kind of no different than what my husband does when he gets up and goes off to an office. Where I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to treat this like a job. Like this is my job from the time my husband leaves to the time I get home. It's my job, and then when we're together, and then we finish it out as parents and do our thing. Um, but it's yeah, it's one of those things where I think a stay-at-home mom is so common where we forget about the stay-at-home dad, and I think that's why it's so interesting hearing this because it I think it's a universal thing. I think we just forget about that. It's a very universal feeling that we're thinking about, but because it's so common in moms, we think it's just a woman related thing. And I don't think it
Yeah,
necessarily is.
yeah, and that's why like if you look at my Instagram, like if someone were to if I'll be scrolling down on Instagram on my page and someone will be looking, they'll be like,
Yeah.
wait, what is this, like what's wrong with your feed? Because it's all moms or it's all parent stuff and all that stuff. It ain't like your typical cars or I don't know what people are into these days because now my focus is totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I know there's not a lot of dads out there or stay-at-home dads, like it ain't it ain't the norm yet, or
Yeah.
people don't see it normal. But like the people I just mentioned, like from the Instagram moms, I feel like I'm part of the club. Like I might be a
Well,
guy,
and yeah,
but I
but
feel I'm
I
part
think
of the
that's
club.
so cool. And I think that's so cool. I honestly think because like you said, it's like not cars and stuff like that. I guarantee, and you can tell me like from a guy's aspect, is it seen as not as manly to be a stay-at-home dad?
To me, I have a great mindset. Like I don't care what people think,
Yeah.
but I will say that at first I didn't. At first I didn't care. I'm like, I don't care what people think. I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah.
And I will say that now that you brought that up, I will say that one of my downs was um the manly thing.
Yeah.
It's it's just people saying like and you know people will always talk shit. So you don't
Yeah.
know what people
Oh
are
yeah.
saying or whatever, but it's like, oh look, stay at home dad, or even from my family, like you can just tell like they're judging or whatever, or friends, but they'll just be like, oh yeah, you're a stay at home dad or whatever, but at the same time, you know they're judging, or you know they're probably talking down on you, like, oh man, look at him, like he probably couldn't keep his career, or he probably couldn't or he's just being lazy, or he doesn't want to do anything, or they just look down on me, or it's like, oh look, he's the man, he needs to provide for the he
Yeah.
needs to be the provider, he needs to be the head of the house,
Yeah.
like things like that. Like so, like I'm a believer. So like when we were created, like that's in a man's DNA. Like when God created us, that's in our DNA. Like God created us to like for the man to be the provider, the protector.
Yeah.
So when now I'm taking this role, it's like it did hit me once. Like I did go during this time where it's like, well, what am I doing? Like I'm not doing my part. I'm not am I being the provider, or how can I provide? Like my wife's over here being the provider, like, or you'll have people talking like, oh damn, who carries the person, the relationship, or who's like
Yeah.
little shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like so it's that I think that started affecting me where it's like, well, how am I providing, or how can I protect my family, or am I doing my role as a man? Um because the man's supposed to be out there working and hustling and doing this and this so the mom can stay home. But
Yeah.
no, it's like
But
that's not the
whoever said that? Like that's the thing is like I hear that and I'm like not I I dive into that stuff. I've gotten more and more into that. Like my husband and I talk about this stuff all the time where I'm
Mhm.
like my husband is kind of one of those where he's like I don't really understand like when they talk about like all this toxic masculinity and stuff like that. He'll say that. And I'm like, well, you're saying that because you're a good guy. Like you don't understand it. But I said, when I see like for me, when I get trolled in my comments, it's all men. It's all men saying like these nasty, nasty things where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening right now? Like, where if I even bring up any of my like stuff, where if I bring up, moms want to break, like if moms want to break, if you or if it was the roles were reversed, like if I'm going to go take a break, if you're going to give your wife a break, the last thing you need to be doing is harassing her, acting like you don't know shit as to what's going on with your family and you're coming home to a mess. Like that's just not fair. I don't think that's equal. But anytime I post about that, oh,
Yeah.
men go off. Where I'm like, but then I think about that and I'm like, why is that the norm? Like that's like the provide like men are the financial provider? Like I don't personally buy into that. I think like for you, like you're the provider protector of your family in so many
Different
different
ways.
ways,
Yeah,
whether
and that
it's like morally and like educationally, like you're giving your
yeah,
kids something that many families don't ever have. That role model perspective is huge. That's going to do more for them than you bringing home a
exactly.
paycheck will.
Exactly. And that's where I had to look at it that way, where it's like, you know what? I may not, like you said, I may not bring the finances, or I may not be able to provide financially, but I am able to educate my daughter when she grows up. I am able to be that example for her,
Yeah,
which many people won't have because they're just sending off their kids to a daycare.
yeah,
And nothing against that. If you can afford it, that's fine. But I figured out that I rather be there for my daughter
yeah,
or my daughters, and I rather just raise a good woman
yeah,
to where when she grows up, she knows like I just want to be that example for her that when she is looking for in the future her husband or whatever,
Yeah.
she knows what to look for. It's like, hey, my daddy always respected me. My daddy showed me respect, morals, and that's what I'm looking for in a man.
Well,
And yeah,
I think that's going to be huge. Oh my God. I can only imagine. Like, because that's, if you think about a generational thing, like my dad, even to this day, like my dad, my mom even says it, like my dad's a great guy. My dad's great, but it's a generational thing where my dad and my mom were kind of the standard roles where my dad, like,
mhm,
he changed a diaper. He'll change a diaper easily if he needs to, but it wasn't his thing. And then my
yeah,
mom was saying, she was like, and then my grandpa and whatever, they never changed one diaper ever. It was never a thing. They weren't involved. They
yeah.
just were they went out, they worked, they came home, they sat down.
And
That was it.
watch
And
the
that
TV,
was,
listen to the
yeah.
radio.
And that's fine. They were great. My parents loved them, but you think about that and I'm like, I think about your daughters and things like that. Like I growing up to know that that's the example, like that's huge, especially for girls growing up. Like I always think about that with like my kids, and my husband's super involved with our kids as much as he can because he works a
Mhm.
ton. But like I hope if one day they get married and they have kids, like they hope I want them to have partners like that, because I hear on the one side with Instagram, when like one of the downsides is I get so many messages from people that are telling me about their relationships, and it's so one-sided, and it sucks because I'm like, it's a lot of the times it's from a woman aspect where they're a stay-at-home parent, and because of that, the expectation is that they handle it all. They don't have any time, and that their husband, it's the whole idea, like their financial provider, that's it. So everything
Yeah,
else once they come home, done. So
stressful.
then no, and it's just one-sided, and I'm like, well, that's crap. Like, and but then it's looked down upon when you think about the equalness of it. Then it's looked down upon where it's like, well, men don't handle that, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. I,
Yeah,
I don't know why.
no, just because they're not educated on it, but yeah, it's like when people talk about like, oh, we're breaking generational curses, they're like, yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah,
My
well,
role
you
right now is
are.
I'm breaking generational curses because my daughter's gonna be raised. My daughters are gonna be raised differently. My
Yeah,
daughters are gonna know what to expect, and I'm gonna be there like every step of the way
yeah.
because
No,
that's my goal. That's
I
my
love,
job.
and I love that. I think that's like, that makes me so happy, because that honestly gives, again, I think that's like the best part about like going into parenthood. And I think that's why, like you're saying, when you hear about the negativity about like, why would you have kids nowadays, like what's the point, like when you hear all the negative stuff about like, why would someone have kids and stuff like that, like I look at my kids, and when I see them, like for me, I think the greatest thing that people forget about parents in a positive way, and you have to really take it on. Like you really need to know, I think if anyone's going to consider being a parent, you have to know that this is the reason. You don't just have a baby for fun.
Mhm,
You have to have a baby for the sake of knowing that you have change literally in your hands. Like that is essentially what we're pushing forward. Like we're not going to be here forever. They're going to hopefully live well beyond us, which is heartbreaking, but they're going to live beyond us. We won't be able to see some of the shit that they'll be able to accomplish. And that's the thing that's like so encouraging about it, is that like we get to do that. Like we hopefully get to be that push
mhm.
for the next change that's coming on. And that's why like I get excited about it, because I'm like, I get to change something right now. Like I can right now, like
Yeah, you're planting that
we're
seed right
changing it. Yeah, whatever it may be.
now.
And I think that's so cool. So I love that. That makes me so excited when I hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I have a question. Oh, so okay, so your wife's an engineer.
Mhm.
How does it work? So like roles at home and stuff like that. When she's at home, how does it balance out? Like, do you kind of feel
Uh,
like you go through any similar struggles that like you hear about commonly talked about with like default parent or anything like that?
man, treat her like the queen. Gets home, I pamper her, have dinner ready for her, feed her, and the mouth, you know. Not the princess I gotta take care of.
I love it.
No, no, she does a lot. Obviously, she's pregnant right now, so I know she can't do much. So I step in a lot still. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't mind. I know she has another human growing
Yeah.
inside. I don't know what that feels like. So hey, props to you guys. You do your job. And I'll take care of business here. So yeah, she gets home. that's when I started getting dinner ready. So I used to be a chef, so I don't mind the cooking. Because
Yeah.
some people might say like, "Oh, you're still at home cooking? You still gotta cook?" I'm like, "Oh, you the female?" I'm like, "No, I used to be a chef, bro.
Yeah,
I
you
love
like it.
cooking."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
and
something
and
you're
you
good
need to
at.
learn how to cook, bro. Now it's like, "Well, you don't know how to cook? How are you gonna survive?" Oh, like, trust me, you can. There's, like, this whole new generation, like, there's more and more independent women, like,
Yeah.
out there. You're not gonna find yourself, like, a back in the day, like your grandparents.
Yeah.
A woman like that is just gonna, "Hey, I'm gonna be a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom, raise the children, cook, clean, serve the husband," and no, they don't make them like that anymore.
No, well, and I think that's like the big thing too is like for a younger like it that literally is the case where I think about it where women this sounds terrible. Women don't need men anymore. Like
Mhm,
the world is created at this point where women are making decent money. Women
mhm,
have equal, like very not no, I don't know, equal. I don't know. I would like to say they have very good job opportunities presented to them. They have a bunch of opportunities ahead of them that they can get into. You can create a baby on your own. Like I know I had a guest on here that she is a single mom by choice. Like she literally had a baby by choice. She did it at home. It was like an amazing thing.
mhm.
Um, we could do it on our own. I think that's the thing is like we and men can do it on their own essentially. Like everyone can do this on their own. We need to now start thinking about like what the other is bringing in.
Yeah, what
And
do
I
you bring to the table?
yeah, well what are you bringing to the table of the team? Like
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. It's a team aspect of like how are you going to grow this family as a team aspect. It's not it's like if you want it to not be an individual sport, it needs to be a team thing. And what are you bringing in so this can feel as awesome as possible?
Yeah, and it's not,
Absolutely.
and I know back then they'll say like, "Oh, it's a 50-50 marriage," or "It's a 50-50." No, it's 100 and 100.
Yes.
I bring in
Yep.
100, she brings in 100.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a team sport.
Well, I had a guest that said that. I don't know if you heard. You should listen to one of my podcast episodes. One of my guests said that. She said, "No, my husband's 100. I'm 100." She said,
Okay.
"That's exactly." She said, "He has strengths that are 100% him that I
Mhm.
will never be able to match. I have strengths that he'll never be able to match." And that's exactly what it needs to be. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. And I was recently talking to my husband about that. And I said, "We're constantly on a battle of trying to make everyone equal, but I do things better than he can." I
Yeah.
I do things better than he can. He does things way better than I can. There's a difference between men and women for a reason. We
And
will
even
always
with
have
kids, like,
yeah.
there's things, a kid wants from a mom specifically, and there's
Yep.
things that a kid wants from a dad specifically.
Yep.
And only you'll be able to give that to them, and a dad will be able to do that.
Yeah. And so it made it yeah, exactly. Like we just can only go in being the best that we can for ourselves. And I think like I've never looked at my husband and I being like we need to be equal and everything. Like I'm the default. I'm with my kids all the time. I'm sure you're the default too because you're with your kids as much as possible. I think like the parent that is majority of the time with their
Mhm.
kids, you just tend to be the person that like I think of the default as the one that if you were on fire, who would your kids come to for juice first? Chances are it's going to be whoever knows where the juice boxes are,
Yeah.
and that's going to be me. Um, but it's hard, and I think sometimes you like for me, I know you can get a little resentful when that happens at first when you don't fully understand it, but then you kind of do, and you're like, I'm just going to embrace it at this point
Mhm.
because I don't know what the alternative would be that I'm not, and then I'd probably just be as upset about that also. So I'm just going to take it for what it is. And then my husband just steps in when he can, and that's I'm sure your wife does the same. It's you just do what you can, and
Yeah,
you
we
make it work until the end of the day is done.
uh-huh. And sometimes you want it to be done earlier.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, like
No, but
today.
yeah, it's fun. We have fun with it, and like I said, my wife does. She plays a big role in this too. Like she doesn't just get home and I take care of everything. I'm the provider. No, it's we're in this 100 and 100,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like you said. Once your husband gets home, now it's parenting together.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and well, and that was another thing that people like freaked out about. And I'm like, that doesn't make whenever I talk about that, I'm like, I don't understand. It breaks my heart because I think that's like the most frustrating thing. And I'm sure you've gotten like trolls on Instagram and stuff like that. And it's such a pain in the butt. It doesn't ever like annoy me personally. It annoys me when because I know that it exists out there that this is how people think. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's sad.
like, how do we get away from this? Because it's just nuts. Where I was like, yeah, I do this. This is my job. This is my hours. And this is my husband's job. This is his hours. And when our hours are done, we come together because we are parents. We chose to do this together. And
Yeah,
it,
we're putting overtime in.
yeah, like I don't, well, and that's the thing is like, I don't get to clock out. He doesn't get to clock out.
Yeah,
We're both on all the time. That's it.
yeah. And if it were that easy, it's like, uh, like I know how stressful my a job can be, or like my wife's job can be. So when she gets home, like it'll be bogus for me to be like, all right, here you go. I'm gonna go get a few drinks with my friends, or
Yeah.
go sleep, or do whatever. Like, no, it's like she had a long day at work too.
Yeah.
I was working too, and I think that's what people need to understand. Like, it's a job, and for the people that say it's not a job, okay, once you get home, here you go. And the parent that was taking care of them, I'm a peace out,
Yeah.
because this wasn't a job, okay? So now it's your turn to take care of them. But
Yeah.
they're tired. They're
Yeah.
stressed from work. They just want to sit down on the couch, lay back,
Yeah,
and
we both want it.
relax.
Everyone wants to do it. That's the thing. I think people are losing empathy because at the end of the day, that's what it needs to be. It just needs to be straight up empathy. You don't like your wife's job might be like I'm imagining if she's an engineer, she's probably dealing with like numbers all day and crap like that. But f that, like I have want no part of anything like that. So in terms of like what I consider hard, that probably sounds harder to me where I'm like, okay, but that would be hard for me, but it's hard. It could be hard for her. I don't know. Like that's
Uh-huh.
the thing. People can have parallel struggles. And I don't know why there's this competition to see whose grass is greener, whose grass is less green. Like we just are always battling each other. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who cares? Who cares? If it's hard for you, it's hard for you. If it's hard for me, it's hard for me. It might be easy for you. Like, who cares? Just empathize. Who gives a shit? People are annoying. I could go on a whole rant. Gosh. Well, I love this. This is like the best. So when's your second due?
April.
April. Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's gonna be a girl.
girl. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I might have to switch my handle to the stay at home girl dad or something like that.
Yeah, that's exciting. Do you think you're gonna stick with two babies? Do you think you're open to more?
So my wife wants the boy.
Okay.
I'm okay either way.
Yeah.
The thing is now it's like if we were to go for the third one, um, then all right, we gotta start looking to a bigger home.
Yeah.
We gotta start looking to other things and for our finances, and it's just all right, you know what? Right now we can make it work,
Yeah.
but if we really want that boy, hey, I don't know how to make it.
Yeah. All right.
Unless someone out there knows the secret on making boys, but I'm happy with my girls.
Yeah. Yeah, girl dads are fun. Girl dad. Oh,
Yeah.
we have two girls and a boy. So
Hmm.
I think it's all just luck at the end of the day. I love that.
Yeah, I'm over here like
Wait.
it. Do I do it at night? Do I do it in the morning? Like what?
Yeah.
Leave the
Well,
moon
okay,
over?
so I have another question for you because I'm trying to like think of like from a stay-at-home mom perspective, like things that I feel like we deal with. But it sounds like you're very like so one of the things that I've tackled before is like stay-at-home moms. There's a lot of stay-at-home moms that deal with financial guilt where they feel bad spending the money that their partner brings in. Have you ever struggled with anything like that?
No, I'm actually pretty good with our finances. I'm actually the one trying to control my wife not to. Hey, don't get that extra Starbucks in the morning, or
Yeah.
I can make you
Yeah.
coffee here.
Yeah.
It's just things like that. Like I guess like that's another. Like I may not be the provider financially, but I know how to take care of the finances
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a strength of mine. That's how I bring in my value.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and I love seeing that's a great thing too. That's a great point. Because that's a big thing. That's it. That's why I brought that up a while ago. I'm trying to think of like different aspects of like stay-at-home struggles. Like there's just different like default parent. I think like from a stay-at-home mom aspect, because a lot of them are moms, so it's like the default parent thing. Financial struggles. I know that was a big one where I said like because a lot of people view it as their money. Like it's because whoever is the paycheck earner, it's their money. So a lot of moms, and I used to do it too. Like I used to feel really bad. My husband never made me feel that way. I just felt that way. It was
mhm.
very weird to not bring in a paycheck of my own when I went from that to not. It was a very weird thing to stop and then want to go spend money on myself where I'd be like, well, no, it's not my money. But yet my husband couldn't give a shit. I was just my mental mindset of that. That's why I ask, because it's like, it's very
Yeah,
curious. Yeah.
and there's times where if if I do want something, and I gotta be careful with that because I'm like out of the 5 love languages, I'm a gift person.
Yeah.
So if my wife sees me talk about something, she'll get it to me, and I'm like, no, don't. Like then I start feeling bad. It's like, but we gotta pay this, or we should save money for that, or this and that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, as much as I want it, I
Well,
rather
rather do it the safe way. Yeah. The smart
yeah,
way.
I rather
That's
this
me.
I rather delay. But yeah, and speaking of that, I guess uh, like a part of me, like when I mentioned earlier about the oh a man feels like you need to provide and all that stuff. Like yeah, part of me still felt like I gotta help some way.
Yeah.
And yeah, like 2 months ago, I started a clothing business, a custom shirt business,
Oh, nice.
and that's my way of like trying to help around.
Yeah.
So that way I don't feel too bad. Like
Yeah,
oh,
well,
like I'm
and that's,
making
but I think
anything.
that's like an important thing too, because I mean, well, that's awesome. I think that's one of the big things. That's why like I love this whole thing that I'm doing, like just with social media. I mean, I started just doing exactly what you're doing right now is I started this page and I just did it for connection and for just sharing my experience. And thankfully it grew and I can make a little financial, what word am I thinking? Contribution to my family
Hmm.
because of it. And it's great, but it definitely helped lessen the burden
Hmm.
that I felt because that's a terrible thing that to even think about, but you do kind of feel like a burden. And
Or
it's
you feel guilty about it. Like
yeah, you feel guilty and you kind of feel like you're just an added it just sucks. It's a burden feeling. That's what it is. It's guilt, but it's like a burden where you're like, okay, well, I'm just another thing. But and I know for myself, like I didn't before all of this, like I when we had our second and I wasn't in this, I was like, I'm not gonna buy any clothes for me. I'm not gonna do
mhm.
anything for me. I'm gonna make sure it's all for the kids because you just felt bad. Like you I don't know. It was very weird
Yeah, I totally get it.
thing.
Like I think since Rosie was born, I haven't bought myself anything.
Yeah.
And now like so I started my clothing business. And yeah, I can custom make any shirt or sweater, but I haven't really made me anything because I'm like, no, I rather sell that shirt or I rather sell that hoodie instead of me keeping it just so
Yeah.
I can help around the house or I can uh yeah, because it's like when formula what was it?
Oh, the yeah, shortage.
The shortage just like it was hard. And
Yeah.
then when you found the formula, it was expensive.
Oh,
We were
well, it
spending
still is
just
expensive. Yeah, it's still expensive. I have one
yeah.
canister and I'm thankfully breastfeeding still, but it's like I need to get I need to end that. But I have one canister of formula and I'm at this point like we're over 10 months postpartum, so I'm trying to get to a year at this point where I'm just like
Uh,
let's just get as close to a year as
yeah.
possible and then we're done. I'm not buying formula, I'm not doing any of it because it's so expensive. I give formula feeding parents such credit for that. Oh my God. Like there's so many discussions that need to happen with all this.
Yeah, it's a
Parenting
whole
is so
topic.
hard because it's hard. I mean, it's the financial aspect of it. It's the preparation of bottles. It's like it's such a demand on all of
Yeah.
it. And it's just like yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and it adds up and you start feeling the guilt and it's like, well, how can I help? I can't really go get a job because then the other thing we discussed too is like, okay, well, if I get a job or like second shift when my wife gets home, then she's gonna have to deal with the burden. Like she's pregnant, she's tired, like you said, she's coming into a second job, coming home to a kid,
Yeah.
it's a second job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna leave her alone. It's like, you know what? I'd rather stay here. I'd rather help around the house. I'd rather take care of you. I'd rather take care of the baby.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like you're growing another baby, so chill. I got this.
Yeah.
But
Well, and these are
yeah,
the years to kind of do it. I was talking with a friend yesterday and we were talking about like a different aspect of being like having friends. Like, we can talk about that real quick, like just with me having friends. I want to know your circumstance with that, with being a stay-at-home parent, but like we were talking about that and I was like, I think it's just the little kid years of having little ones. It's just, it's survival, not in a bad way. It's just it's sacrifice and survival for a chunk of time, like 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years. Like it's just this time where you keep your head low, you do what you can, and you just make it through until they start to get a little bit more independent. And then you could, go get another job if you wanted it or
Mhm.
things like that. But for the little years, it's kind of like you just have to kind of ride with it.
Yeah, and that's my grind time, so baby goes to sleep around 8, then from 8 to 9, it's me and wifey time, and then she goes to bed, and then from 9 to 10, it's me time.
Yeah.
Then from 10 to 2 a.m., that's grind time, that's my time, like, I gotta start grinding, I gotta get orders in, I gotta promote, I gotta get my name out there, it's because I know that's the only time I got, so it's, like, from 10 to 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
that's but I rather do that, I'd rather stay up late doing that than go getting another job and having to leave my wife and my daughter.
Yeah. 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 I commend you for it. That's what my sister was just saying that to me today. She was like, "When do you do all your stuff?" And I was like, "At night."
Yeah,
And
and
she's
that
like, Yeah, well, and she's like, you should set boundaries for yourself, Mary. And I was like, I do. But I was like, but you have to understand, I don't want to be on my phone all the time in front of my kids. Like I have an opportunity to, I obviously have a space that I'm on my phone, but I
mhm.
don't want that to be my world. Like I
But that's your
usually
job,
record
though.
it's my job, but it's like
Yeah,
I record stuff and then I save it as a draft and then I kind of post it up
you'll get it later.
later. Where I'm like, I just would rather do that and know that I can like quick record, tuck it away, buy and know that whatever. Cause my kids have gotten so used to it's like actually embarrassing at this point. Where my kids like I even Spencer today, like on my stories, he was like, "Hey, dear hi people." Or hi people, I'm making a smoothie. And I'm like, oh God. Or Cassie will be like, hey, today we're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God. Or even just Haley, like Haley, my youngest, she's 10 months old. I put up
Uh-huh.
a story. She literally looked at my phone like,
Oh, I saw
help,
it.
help me. Like she
Uh-huh.
knows it's people on the other end. And I'm
I
like,
was
you
gonna I
guys,
was gonna comment on that and be like, she's probably like, "Mom, cut your shit and
like,
feed me."
yeah, Jesus, God. But it's just like funny watching because they're like, they know what I'm up to. But that's why I do it at night. I'm just like, they're asleep. This is why I'm meeting with you right now. It's like they're asleep and we're doing our thing. And
Yeah, this is our grind time.
yeah,
We gotta get it done, and yeah, and that's why I also gotta see like, do I get suckered in a movie or like a show, or do I start
yeah,
try to provide for helping with the finances?
yeah, yeah.
So there's little sacrifices, like you said, just put your head down and grind it out.
Get it out until the day comes that you can kind of stick your head above and you're like, oh, I can breathe again, type of thing. Yeah. And it'll happen. I'm starting to feel that way now. Finally, like once Cassidy, my oldest, is in kindergarten, I think I'm going to feel a little bit lighter. And then once my son is in kindergarten, I think like once they
Mhm.
enter school a little bit, then I can like kind of breathe and kind of be like, okay, I can see some resemblance of my life again. But you really do. Like you just kind of, yeah, it's just like a full on sacrifice for 5 years of like,
Yeah. We'll see,
oh,
because I'm actually thinking about homeschooling.
oh really?
Yeah, so who knows? We'll see. I got some friends that they homeschool, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, those are the smartest kids ever.
Right. Well, that's a thing. I'm glad you said that. I've always said that because homeschooling really freaking intimidates me. I brought it up during the pandemic, like when I think everyone and their mother was bringing up homeschooling during the pandemic, but I brought it up a few times. It intimidates me because I'm like, I want to do it well,
hmm
where I'm like, I know there's a
That
ton of
that
resources.
that's legit gonna be your kids are gonna be the reflection of whatever you taught them.
Well, that's the biggest concern that I have. It's like I want to know that like my kids are going to be hearing what I say as opposed to what their classmates are
Mhm.
saying. So that's like the thing that
Classmates.
intimidates me a little bit, where I'm like, okay, well, I don't like elementary school for that, or like school, not elementary school. I don't like schooling for that reason. Is like, I don't know what other parents are teaching their kids.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
or the
I don't
bullying
want,
nowadays, like bullying,
yeah.
uh, like that's so big nowadays. I'm like, wow, I don't remember bullying being that big back in my day,
Same
but
with me. I'm actually glad. Well, I think it's online. It's
yeah,
online. Social media is killing
yeah,
people. Social media should not be in the hands. I was talking to my husband about this the other day. I said, I think social media should not be allowed. There should be a law that kids should not be allowed on social media until they're 18 years old. I don't know how the hell you would ever put that into law, but I'm like, that should be.
It's more dangerous than guns and drugs.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
For
just
sure.
all the you give a kid, nowadays, you can give a five-year-old, and I'm pretty sure, what is it, Cassidy's your oldest?
Hmm.
How old is she, 5?
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
yeah, it's like and how great do they work them tablets, right?
Oh, they know exactly. And when they do them at school too, like
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
when
yeah,
she
now
gets home, she's like,
they all have laptops at schools.
mhm.
What is it, 1st grade for kindergarten, they're already teaching you how to use the laptop. I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Which I think is like great because obviously they're going to grow up in a world where it's all necessary, but it's like,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, you put it this way, whenever I have had people on Instagram insult my children simply because they're online. Like I've had people comment on my videos insulting my kids, adults doing that, where I'm like, that's grown adults doing that. Think about what kids think that
yeah,
they
kids
can
who are
do.
kids. Yeah.
Where I'm like, that's scary. And I recently heard some actress, I forget who said it. And she had said, whatever she was talking about, she said, why in the hell would we give kids the opportunity where if they were to get on and say, like, the sky is beautiful, an opportunity for someone, some stranger to come in and be like, well, actually, that sky is really ugly. This thing that you're seeing right now is ugly. Like, we are giving strangers the ability to dictate our day, essentially. Like, that's what social media does. It's sucky because I've said this before. I'm like on social media, especially because you're growing on there. It's like I've always said, like, you have to have a thick skin for social media. It's true, but it's bullshit. We shouldn't have to even say that. Like, we shouldn't
Yeah.
even have to even say you need a thick skin. How about you just need to, like, that shouldn't be a requirement.
Uh-huh.
You shouldn't be required to be able to take shit from strangers on the internet. Like, people shouldn't be allowed to say such nasty crap.
Yeah, it's like, you know how, like, Instagram, the how you say, demonetizes, or, like, they'll take your shit down if you
Oh
say
yeah, yeah.
something bad. Like, why
Yep.
don't you take care of the comment section?
Yeah, well, they
Like,
don't.
go to work there.
Yeah, no, they don't.
But it's even worse on TikTok.
Oh god,
TikTok, it's, like, free range.
TikTok is scary.
That's
TikTok.
actually what inspired us to, like, actually do the social media thing. We uploaded this video. It was Rosie probably 2 months? I forget how 2 or 3 months. No, probably 2 months. I don't know, I gotta go back to it. But she was laying in her crib and then, or in the changing station, and I grabbed her hands and she, like, pulled herself up
Yeah.
and was standing, and I'm like, "Alright, cool." So I posted it, boom, goes a million views the next day. But everyone, like,
Went
talking
nuts.
shit, "What a bad parent," this and this, and
Well, what's the video? Like, wait, I didn't know you had an account. Let me look. Hold on.
oh, yeah, it should be, so it's The Sadie Life on TikTok, and it should be pinned.
Let me look. Get out of here. Okay. Uh the stay at
Yeah,
home.
and comment section went to town. So this day is like every day I get a new comment. I'm like, "Oh, people are still watching it? Alright, cool."
Let me share. Hold on. The stay. Is it
SAHDDY,
STDY?
The Life.
Okay, there you go. I found it.
Yeah, it should be a pinned one.
Let me see.
You don't have a pandemic baby, then you cannot sit with me. You understand what I mean? These new
Oh my
pandemic
gosh.
babies are built different. If you don't
That
have
is
a pandemic,
amazing. The hell? That's crazy. My daughter just started doing that. I'm like, wow, when she's 10 months old. That's amazing.
Yeah, and people just went to town. Like, my wife's like, "Oh, we should put it down." Like, people are so mean. I just want to reply to them, and I'm like, "No, that's what they want. They want to go to town with people. Like, they want to go to war."
Well, it's the thing. I'm like reading through the comments, like, poor baby. Like, what?
Yeah, and I've been wanting to do a stitch with it, like, highlight a comment and then just show Rosie running, because my baby be running everywhere. I think she started walking at 12 months and 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Um, I think she's pretty advanced, but who knows? She's my first baby, so we're
Well,
just
no,
waiting.
I think that's pretty darn good. I mean, that's the thing is like people are stupid.
Yeah.
Online people are nuts, but no, I think that's pretty darn good. My kids didn't start walking until like 15, 16 months. I
Okay.
mean, Haley's she's 10 months. She hasn't pulled herself up on anything yet, but she also is 25, 26 pounds. And she's got a
That's enough
lot.
to eat.
She's got a lot to pull up at this point. So she's taking her sweet old time. She's getting there, but yeah, it's just every kid's so different. That's the thing. Everyone online is like the perfect parent, and it's annoying.
Yeah, and it's like every kid at their own pace, and it's gonna happen when it happens. I know, like with the walking or the talking, and yeah, they'll take their
Well, and
time.
I can hear a little bit of an accent in your voice. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Is your house a bilingual family?
No, I married white. my my wife's American.
I love
I
it.
really say it.
How about with your daughter? Do you speak Spanish to her?
Yeah, we actually both. So my wife took Spanish up to college, so she understands. She kind of speaks it, and actually, my wife probably speaks more Spanish to our daughter
Okay.
than I do. But
You
yeah,
should
it's
have her make one of those videos with the scene from Bridesmaids when she's saying this. If you heard the speech that she gives the
oh yeah.
to everyone,
Yeah, well,
like
yeah, I know.
something escuelas, like
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of nonsense. You should have your wife do something like that. That's funny. No, that's awesome. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you came on because I think it's fun. It's fun hearing a different perspective on things and all of that. So real quick, so stay at home daddy life. I'm going to put all the links for everything so people can find you on Instagram, on TikTok. You obviously have a TikTok. Do you have anywhere else that you want people to find you?
Um, yeah, just TikTok, Instagram, and I'll be launching my website pretty soon, probably this weekend or
Cool.
Monday, hopefully.
Cool.
We'll see. So that'll be the Sadie shop, so the stay at home daddy shop.
Cool. All right. And then, okay, so let's say if there's any stay-at-home dads listening or hopeful dads thinking that stay-at-home life might be for them, what words of advice or encouragement would you give them?
If what was that again?
So if any dads right now are listening or anyone listening that could potentially want to be home and your dad, what words of encouragement would you give them?
I'll say just do it. Jump in. It's definitely a roller coaster, but it's a fun one.
Yeah.
Definitely get to learn a lot about your your daughter or son, but most importantly, you get to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest thing for me. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about how to become a better dad, but most importantly, a better husband.
I love that.
And I think, yeah, I think my daughter for that, because of her, I gotta step it up.
Yeah.
So every day I gotta level up.
I
and I
love
and
that.
I got you and I got you moms to thank. Like I said, I feel like I'm part of a club, even though I'm
You
the guy.
are. But I think again, that's why I love this so much. I think it's given me a different perspective too, as to when like I create content to realize that it's not just a mom thing. Like it's not all just a mom thing. I think this is a very universal thing. So I think I like this. This has been a good eye opener for me. It's like a good
Mm.
reminder.
Yeah,
So
like every reel you make or every reel like the other stay-at-home moms make, I'm like, oh, like that's me.
yeah.
Or
Well, and we don't think about it because we always say like being a mom, like moms do this, like that, like we forget. Like and I think there's also like again, it's a battle. Like where some people are like, oh no, it is a mom only thing. And I'm like, what? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
no,
Maybe we just are constantly telling ourselves that it's a mom only thing. And yet there are others out there that are dads and living the same exact thing. We've just deemed it all mom stuff. And that isolates you. Like that just leaves you kind of, in the dust essentially. And that's what we need to kind of make room for,
yeah,
which
and I think one of the cool things too is like you moms like I'll reply to one of the things or ask a question, and I think everyone that I've mentioned I've had interaction with.
yeah,
Like they've all responded back. It's not like, oh, this creeper or is this
no.
that. Like I don't know. It's like I'm I'm struggling here. I need help.
No, we love that. I mean, I know the girls that you all mentioned, they're all great. Like
Yeah,
they,
they're all great.
because we're all, I mean, majority of us are here because of the same exact reasons. We're all here because we need the connection, and we also just are feeling it's a supportive community. Like we really want this to be done well. So
Yeah, and what you girls are doing, it's like I like I took a step back into my page, and I'm like, this is what I want to do.
yeah,
I'm like, because I know, just like you were saying, like, oh, I'm posting these these reels or making these videos just thinking about the mom. It's like, hey, well, maybe I can be that dad that I can help that dad that's trying to make the jump, or he's probably feeling ashamed that it's like, oh, what are people gonna think? What are people gonna are they gonna judge me? What if I feel this way? It's like, hey, it's okay. Like
yeah,
that's what I'm here for. It's like I've been through it. I'll help you.
yeah,
And I just want to be like just what you are to other moms or stay-at-home parents. Like that's what I want to be to
yeah,
other parents too.
yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
love that.
buddy, I'm a guy. I can still
Yeah,
do
no, I love that. That I honestly that needs to happen more. I think that needs to happen more because I hear a lot on that side. I know when I've asked questions before, like a lot have said like we want to hear about the stay-at-home dad side because I have a lot of moms that follow me that are moms that husbands are the primary caretaker of the home, and it's rare. It's just
it.
it's very under discussed. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. And I'm excited. I'm excited for everyone to hear this and get to know you.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. This actually felt like we're doing a little high school reunion.
Yeah, right?
Like I feel like I already knew you. Like just seeing your dances, I'm like, oh, we listen to the same music. Like, oh, I know those dance moves.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, we shit gets wild over here. Seriously. But yeah, no, I mean that's my hope. That's my hope with all this. It's just like it's very candid and I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
over here like, oh, it's this is just like another. I'm catching up with an old friend.
yeah, well, it's good. That literally makes my day. That's all I
Yeah,
hope for.
and this is how I feel. Like me coming in here, I already thought I knew you. I just needed the face to face interaction. Well, not literally face to face, but
Yeah, good.
we're getting there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Charlie.
No problem. Take care.